Hi, I'm State Senator Tony Hwang. I am absolutely thrilled to be in the company of Ed Crowley Sr., all of 94 years young, and born and raised in Connecticut, a World War II veteran, paratrooper jumper. And I remember when you talked about your experience when, right out of high school, you joined the military and then served and jumped behind enemy lines. How was that experience, and what drove you to join the military?
Well, the war was on. I was a young man. They had to have young men to go to war, so I joined it up.
You make it sound so easy.
It was easy.
You make it sound so easy.
It was easy.
There are so many other people who had other alternatives. What drove you? What motivated you?
I wanted to be in the service, that's all.
Why did you want to be in the service?
There was a war going on. I was a young man, not married and so forth. I joined the service to be in the service, the war, some way. And that's what I did.
To join the service, was it, when you talk about being in the war, was it to serve your country?
Definitely so.
And we talk about such, glossy commercialization of, for country, for God, and also for our freedom and the values of what America is all about. That wasn't commercial to you. Those are heartfelt feelings for you. Those are things that I've heard you talk about over and over again. Can you encapsulate that? I know what's amazing is fantastic, tremendous veterans like you who just said, there was a war, I'm going to serve.
Sure. I left my girl home. I knew my girl before I joined.
Now, that lovely girl
was my wife,
Jeannie.
Yeah.
And tell me about this fabulous love story. You met her when she lived down the street. She wasn't paying much attention to you, I was told.
Well, I don't imagine she did.
So what was the story that you were heading off into war and you kind of said to her, you said, hey, will you stick around and, stay around for a lug like you, that when I come back from war? And she said, yes,
sure,
you better come back from war, right?
That's right. She did.
How dangerous was it as a paratrooper?
Well, it was dangerous because you didn't know what you're going to got into. When you jumped into France, you were in an enemy territory.
But let's start off. You're on the plane. Yeah. I mean, most people don't understand or kind of going through that experience. Is you're in a plane flying over enemy lines. You got a parachute on your back in the dark of night, and you're just jumping out.
That's right.
You're jumping out.
Right. With other people. I was with a group. We all jumped out and so forth.
Was it dangerous?
I imagine it was.
What are some of the dangers? Were you shot at? Were you potentially...
I can't tell you if I was shot at or not. We jumped at 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, in darkness, as far as things went.
Now, what happens when you landed and you're behind enemy lines and you're trying to stay safe and in disguise? Now, you told me about a little cricket. What does that mean?
Little cricket was that was ammunition in a way.
This little piece you carry.
That's all it was.
This is back from when you were parachute jumping.
Parachute, you land it. You don't know you're not with anybody at the time, but you maybe got a stone wall or somebody behind. There's somebody over here on the other side of the stone wall. You clicked it once. If it was a friend of yours, he'd click you back. You knew you had a friend. If you didn't get a click back, you might be an enemy.
What's that sound like?
Huh?
What does that sound like? That's it.
That's it.
Now, is this the same one that you used?
No, it's not.
Oh, I was going to say.
No, it wasn't. It's one I got when I come home.
You're the original, though. You're the original guy that jumped out.
Yes. I was there.
Now, when I talk about the love story, I mean, having met both of you for so many years, you were married for nearly 70 years.
Yeah, we were a long time. Yes, we were. But she passed on as far as things went.
Well, it was a tremendous relationship, and knowing that having a chance to having met her when she yelled at me to do a couple of policy things related to St. Vincent's Hospital, I listened. I listened. And I also want this as an opportunity to acknowledge what a fabulous, fabulous person, what contribution she made. So I wanted to thank you for sharing her with the world as well. You know, one of the things that you'll see, and as we're kind of going through this, you're not loving the limelight, and you're not a person of many words in regards to, you know, rah ha ha. But I will tell you, Ed, in all of your 94 years, and seeing you at all the events, the parades, the schools, how enchanted those kids are in listening to your stories. I've never seen you at a loss of words when you're talking to elementary school kids. How is that different when you talk to them? When you share your stories and you watch their eyes dance? How is that different? What makes you kind of express yourself?
I think the kids want to know. They got the opportunity to meet a man that was in the service and a veteran of the foreign war that we're in. I think the kids appreciate that I'm around and I'm able to talk to them. Because when I get down to school and the kids come over and want to talk to me, they ask me questions about being in the war and so forth and so on.
I'm asking you the same thing, but you're kind of, you know, reserved. But I also seen you with kids, and your eyes dance too.
Yeah.
Now, is that something that you hold very dear, that you're able to share, educate, and share that legacy with children?
Sure, I do.
And you know, I see the kids respond to you as well.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear it.
And what does serving this country mean to you? In light of this day and age of what you see, the bombastic, the
I was just glad I could serve, and I was very happy that I was able to come back home again. That's what happened. I was very glad that way, very happy to be able to serve, and I was happier when I was able to go overseas with everything. But I was also very happy and glad I was able to get home without any problems.
You were 18 years old, right? 18, 19?
Yep.
Were you ever scared?
I never what?
Were you ever scared
Well, I
during your
imagine I
parachute
would.
jump?
I imagine you are, or everybody else. You're up in the airplane, you're going to go out that door. You have to have some sort of fear because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if they're going to shoot you on the way down or what. Who knows?
Then why did you do it?
My love of my country. That's what I did. What else was I in the service for? It was for the love of the country. And I was able to go and be part of the fact that we had men like me who could go and join the service and be able to get into combat and so forth.
What advice would you give to a younger generation of people who need to rediscover the passion and the love that you have for your country?
I can't tell you, I don't know.
What made you feel that way?
I can't tell you. I really don't know.
Why do you do it?
For the love of the country and the love of my family. That's what it was.
How deep is that love?
My father ahead of me, he was in the service when I joined. He wasn't in the service when I joined, but he was in it World War I.
You just woke up and said, I'm going to go to war and risk my life and jump out of planes with parachutes.
That was for $50 a month.
Oh, geez, my gosh, that's it. That's the answer
That
for
was
$50 a month, right?
That's all.
Huh?
Yeah, that was $50 just to be there as a paratrooper. You got $50. You were making 21. Now you can get 50 more. Hey, that was a big deal.
And that made you happy, huh?
That made me happy. Sure, I was there. I got $50 extra. You were still struggling for $21.
I wasn't even born.
I know. If you were in the service and you didn't join like I did, you'd be making $21 a month, but I had an extra 50 for joining it.
Well, your job was so risky. I think they gave you that 50 with the possibility some of y'all didn't make it,
Oh, definitely so. There's something.
right?
That's right. There's some didn't make it. Some made it but come back half a man.
So you're jumping out of planes in a parachute that may not always be working. And you simply say you do it for the love of your country. I wish people could capture that. As much as I'm trying to get you to say why the love of your country, I think people just have to figure it out. That Ed Crowley is a man, all of 94 years, as an individual who loves his country, and as simply as he could put it, there's no other words that need to describe it.
Well, I love the country, and I'm happy that I am able to, and I was able to get married and have a family.
What you have just heard from a fabulous person, understated as he may be, he has truly lived a life in which to every person who's gotten to know Ed Crowley reflects on his generosity and his sincerity. This is truly an individual whose actions speak so much louder than any words. And it's a privilege for me to be able to spend time with him. I know it seems like a struggle to pull words out of him, but let me tell you, I've heard a lot from him. I've learned a lot from him. And his love of his country is genuine. And we need to remember, as we do many of these segments, in recognizing veterans who have lived through times where he's jumping out of planes and he simplistically said, for an extra $50. But you know what? You couldn't pay him enough for what he does for the love of his country. And so for me, I salute Ed Crowley and all the men and women who make the sacrifices in their service to our country. Stay in touch.
Yeah.
And thank you, Ed Crowley.
Thank you.